Hi, Dean is the gardening noob here, with the third and final update on my winter lettuce sowing experiment. If you watched the first two parts, then you know that last year, in winter, I planted lettuce seeds in two different pots, and I placed each pot in a different location. By the middle of March, I had many sprouts in the pot I placed inside the miniature greenhouse, and I only had one sprout in the pot I left outside in the open. A lot had happened since then, both good and bad. I'll start with the good first. The weather in the second half of March and in the first half of April warmed up notably when compared to January and February. Apart from a couple of cold spells, the conditions were pretty much ideal for growing lettuce. It wasn't too hot during the days, and neither was it too cold during the nights. There was also more light available due to longer days. The plants in the miniature greenhouse really loved that early to mid-spring weather, and consequently grew at an accelerated pace. They soon got big enough for harvesting. So on the 16th of April, which was a little less than 3 months after I planted the seeds, it was time for the first harvest. The harvest was a modest one, but it was enough to fill one salad bowl. And it tasted amazing. Even my wife, who's not a big fan of lettuce, liked it. The favorable weather conditions persisted, and the plants quickly recovered from the initial picking. We were able to get 3 more harvests after that. The second one on the 9th of May, the third one on the 22nd of May, and the fourth one on the 5th of June. Then the summer began and it became hot during days. The plants bolted. It means that they stopped growing new leaves and started to produce seeds instead. At that point, I knew that the lettuce picking season was over. Now the story with the pot I kept outside on the open was different. One plant did spring up in it towards the end of February, but the nights at the time were still freezing and it eventually took a toll on it. The plant stalled in growth at first, and then, towards the end of March, it just disappeared. There were new sprouts in the pot in April, shortly after the weather warmed up, and things looked promising for a while. But then another unfortunate thing happened. The birds from the nearby spruce tree started to dig into the soil and destroyed all the seedlings in the process. I guess they were looking for earthworms, beetle grubs, or other sources of food in it. Whatever the case was, I gave up on that pot after that incident. Losing the outside pot was disheartening. But overall though, I am more than happy with the outcome. The pot in the miniature greenhouse turned out to be a success. It proved that you can accomplish a lot with a simple cold protection. The seeds I planted in it in the middle of winter did not only sprout, but developed into strong and most importantly, harvest-producing plants. What's more, we had one of the earliest lettuce harvests ever. And not to mention the fact that the effort I put into the experiment was minimal. Apart from planting the seeds, it only took me a few minutes every now and then to make sure that the soil in the pot never dried out, to make sure that the lid of the miniature greenhouse was open on sunny warm days and closed during cold freezing nights, to move the pot out of the miniature greenhouse into the open during warmer periods when the nights were not freezing. To remove any rotten leaves and plants, so the rest of them would not get affected too. To remove the excess plants, so the remaining ones would have more growing space available. And to pick the plants, so they would keep growing new leaves. That's it. I hope you find my winter lettuce sowing experiment useful, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos from me.